right, guys. Welcome to Late Night Gaming. I'm Poem, and I'm with my friend Tower Number 9. Thanks for coming on, Tower.
Yeah, happy to be here, Poem. We are here in round seven, the final Swiss round of the San Francisco Planetary Qualifier.
And we've got Brandon here playing the Sabine Green. We saw Brandon uh, edge out the Bosk in round six, really coming through with some interesting lines, interesting decision points from the boss player. But Brandon really played it tight and pulled out.
Yeah, he managed to get the win even through an out of aspect redemption medical frigate that we saw in one of the games. And now he's going to be against Sassy on the right, who looks to be playing, I believe that's a Boba Red 30 HP.
That's what it looks like.
Poem, I know you've been playing some Boba Red. What do you think about 30 HP versus Tarkentown for that build?
I mean, I'm 100% on Tarkentown. I just think you just win so many games off of an ISB agent, a daring raid, or I've been running the I don't even remember the name of the card actually. It's a one cost red black event that like does one damage and then makes them attack one of your guys.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I think it's called Give Into Your Anger.
Yeah. And so I put that in my sideboard, and then if I'm playing an aggro deck, I'll throw that in there. So now I have nine ways to kill their turn one play, basically.
Yeah, ping them and finish them off with Tarkentown.
Hmm.
I'm totally in agreement with you, Palm. I mean, as someone who's played a lot of Sabine, I am a lot more worried about a Boba Red Tarkentown than I am about a Boba Red 30 HP. But let's see how this game goes.
I mean, Tarkentown, Boba Red Tarkentown. I mean, it's a real deck for sure. I mean, I ended up in seventh place of this tournament. Just cleaned up. Did pretty well.
And this isn't you that's playing, just to be clear. This is somebody else who's playing. Yeah, because it's 30 HP and you're on Tarkentown. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
No, I didn't play on stream, and she won't see me, and so I ended up seventh.
Yeah. I will also say Boba Red 30 HP is not a joke deck. I think that Tarkentown is a stronger version, but I think Boba Red 30 HP has a lot of threats in space in particular, which I think some decks are not prepared to deal with.
Yeah, I just think the ability to get the ping and then play a two cost spaceship is just so powerful, especially if it's like you're running the 3/2 ships, so they can really
Yeah.
present they can trade into, in this case, a red 3, or
Yeah, this is a
they just.
pretty bad start for oh no, very interesting. He goes for the base. Racing tactics here. I probably would have just taken that trade, but he wants to put more pressure on the base. One advantage of the 30 HP is that if it does just turn into a race with a little interactivity, you do have that extra 5 health. But I would probably rather have the ability of Tarkentown to get a kill from something that would otherwise just be a small ping and really set the opponent back. That being said, it does look like Brandon missed his turn one play. So this red 3, I think, was the first unit we saw from him, and that's not where you want to be with a Sabine Wren deck.
That could really set him back for sure. It basically does the same kind of action that we're talking about, which is to clear that
Yeah,
turn one
especially
play.
if we see these racing tactics in particular, you don't want to be behind a card. And I think we could easily like punishing one here also could take out red 3 while remaining alive, which is would be very useful for our Boba player Sassy here. Maybe there's going to be but Bright Hope shows up to put an obstacle in Sassy's way. A main decked Bright Hope there from Brandon, and definitely
So
something that you'd like to see here.
yeah,
Is there a waylay to
well,
answer it?
the best answer is
Yes.
surprise
Oh no, it's
strike.
a surprise strike.
Yeah.
Yep.
Surprise strike, you're punishing one or your seventh fleet defender, and they survive. That's really your best answer into Bright Hope. Um,
Interesting.
I
Brandon
found
opts
I
to
found Bright
swing to
Hope to
bait.
be one of the biggest deciding factors is if this in the Sabine matchup is if the Sabine player is playing Bright Hope. If they are,
That's a very beneficial card for them.
it is a major card that they need to have in their three of in their main deck if they want to be able to really have an advantage against this red Boba for sure. They won.
Sabine gets locked down by a no good to me dead, but Brandon does play a metal ceremony. Doesn't affect Sabine, but it does bring that red 3 up to a 3/4, which now means that it can take out one of the or either of these opposing ships without being removed, or it can just try to pressure the base even harder. I'm not sure which tactic Brandon will use.
Yeah, I'm not sure the tactic of just going base just with this Boba deck. I mean, you have a 2-for-1 right there. You just passed up on. I just don't understand it.
He
You know,
fires off another no good to me dead. He is winning the race.
but like 2-for-1's a 2-for-1, man. You just kill their ship and just yours is alive and like
Would you have gone for the you would have gone for the kill on red 3 with punishing one? I guess he had to use punishing one to
oh, that's
well,
right. He had to use
well,
that.
he could
You're
have
right.
surprise striked the Merc gunship and then
All
cleared red
right.
3 with
Yeah, I
punishing one.
forgot. I forgot he had to use that for the Bright Hope. My brain
Yeah.
sometimes. But yeah, so maybe he's right in just going base here.
The damage is adding up. Now, what happened there?
So we had a no good to me into a mercenary gunship attack.
Yeah, what did Brandon spend resources on? He spent 2 of his resources on a battlefield marine, but it's off the field somehow. How did it die?
Might have
Must have
missed that.
missed something
We
there.
we got a little overzealous in our
Our
conversation.
discussion of the space attack. Well, one way or another, Battlefield Marine came out and then left the field. Sabine ran Explosives Artist on the field. Boba deploys and isn't going for any unit, is going for just more pressure on the base. Sassy is in full racing mode and is winning the race. So, there may be some merit to that.
I had experimented a little bit with like outmaneuver in the red boba, but it's interesting.
Outmaneuver is a very good card, specifically in the scenario where you go into a space versus ground race. And that is something that happens sometimes, but I'm not sure that it happens reliably enough for it to be really strong.
Yeah, it seems like a sideboard, maybe two of, one of.
If set 4 brings space leaders, like everyone's speculating, I think that card's going to get a second look, though. Both because a space-centric deck can use that on a ground-centric deck, but also because a ground-centric deck could use it against a space-centric deck. Most decks right now are ground-centric, but that could change in the future.
Yeah, I think the card. I mean, it can win you games. It's definitely in the right situation. It's like, what's the only card right now that would allow me to win? And
ECL Poe Dameron. Poe
oh,
gets to kill Boba Fett without using his ability because because Poe's buffed by the red 3, and then he discards that to kill the Merc gunship. I'm a little surprised the Merc gunship was the target instead of punishing one. Another no good to me dead. All 3 of those have been used this game.
Poe
That should be
Dameron,
4.
what an amazing card. That
Yeah,
thing
he's
is
really good.
insane.
Another 4 damage to base there from Sabine. This is interesting.
The
So,
the board is really developed on the Sabine side. Brandon really building that up.
yeah,
Obviously,
absolutely.
we're ahead.
And
We're
his
ahead here. Boba's, he's got 19 that he's dealt with a unit on board. So fire spray
he,
looking pretty good here if we can pull
Yeah,
that.
fire spray would be great. A surprise strike would outright win the game at this point, but red 3 can take out the whole triple dark raid.
Okay, here we go,
This
baby.
could be it. If he hits a raider, that's it, right?
Yeah, I see the raider. He found the raider. So
Yeah, because that's 2 to base, and then the raider does 4 more to base, and that's it.
pretty much, yeah. I think it's just happening right now. I think maybe he's looking at he pulled a fang, maybe. Oh, he kept the fang. Whoa.
Did he not have the resources
I'm
for the
pretty
raider?
sure. Yeah, maybe he didn't. Thought I saw the raider, but yeah, maybe he just didn't have the money.
So he knocks the experience off of red 3 and then goes for 3 to base. Yeah, but now red 3, like the Fang Fitter goes back to hand because it's triple dark raid. And red 3 can attack and clear punishing one, so he needs to draw some other card that's going to allow him to I don't know that he has lethal this turn unless he has a Fet's Fire Spray or another triple Dark Raid.
I see a lurking tie in there. He can kind of just have it sit out there maybe and
Yeah,
like
maybe
just
throw that down after red 3 clears that.
yeah.
Knocking off the experience does mean that if red 3 clears punish and wants a trade, so that's something.
And
Sabine's
Sabine's I don't
still
know.
exhausted.
It doesn't look like Sabine's gonna be able to kill Boba this turn. So yeah, if he can
Oh, but hey, he doesn't need to use
right.
red 3. Swings into base and uses Pose ability, which I had missed, to deal that 2 damage.
Okay.
And red 3 is still up to potentially sweep up that Phantom if we do see it getting played. Is there a Fet's Fire Spray here? I think that's what our Boba player really needs. There's a triple Dark Raid.
Okay. Okay. Just hoping,
This could
hoping,
easily
hoping.
bring
Oh,
easily bring the end of the game.
okay. Fet's
Fet's
fire
Fire Spray
spray
off triple Dark
and
Raid,
GG.
and looks like Brandon's just sweeping up the cards. He didn't have an answer to that.
Triple dark raid. What a card that is. It is so
Really
good.
excellent card. Really, really excellent card. And Triple Dark Raid is kind of a card that's almost opened up an archetype on its own with these more space-focused Boba decks, and also things. I guess it's a combination of Triple Dark Raid and Lurking Tie Phantom for the green yellow Tarkin builds. But yeah,
It's the aggro that it gives you. It's also good into control because it cantrips basically itself. It's like it
yeah.
replaces, it's card
Assuming
advantage.
assuming you don't lose the card that it brings out
Right.
immediately.
That's
But even
right.
if you did, they probably had to play something to deal with it.
Yep. That card is just so good. I mean, it just that I pulled a Fang fighter off a triple dark raid to like I think it was like kill a dark saber or something like that. Like I did crazy stuff like that. Like just
Triple Dark Raid's a very powerful card, and really yeah, I mean it's really opened up a lot of deck building options for people.
let me get us to game 2 here a little quicker. Just a lot of chatting, chitter chatter. Ah.
All right.
Okay.
And we are here in game 2. Sassy got the win game 1. Brandon going first brings out Battlefield Marine. Hylo's Tie Silencer, also a very good card.
And the claim there from Brandon instead of a ping. Probably he's got a
Yep.
wing leader, fleet lieutenant, who wants to put that down.
I think often you don't want to ping in racing matchups also. Oh, that's spicy. He does have a wing leader and he fires off ECL. We saw the ECL wing leader clear Redemption Medical Frigate in one of his previous
Oh,
games.
waylay
This time,
though.
oh, Waylay though.
Oh man,
Not what
uh,
Brandon most wants to see, but
that's not good.
he did clear his opponent's tie silencer, so
ECL
totally blank
used up.
board.
ECL used up. I mean, I'm happy if I'm the Boba player here. Sassy is feeling good about this.
Yeah, I wouldn't describe that as a big win for Sabine. I think if ECL hadn't been used and it was just play the wing leader, then the waylay goes off, silencer does 3, but then next turn you trade, I would say that would be more even. But the fact that he fired the ECL for it, I think that's a Boba favored trade. Now, Brandon does bring out K2, which is a little risky into Boba because Waylay is so good against it, but maybe he's thinking, hey, my opponent already had Waylay. He probably won't have another one.
Yeah, I think waylay just can't leave home without that card. That thing is
Some people
just
are
too
having it in
good.
the sideboard only now, I believe. But I personally think it's an excellent card for Boba, especially because he more or less plays it for 2. You do have to have 3 resources immediately, but he then gets some resources back. K2SO buffed by a fleet lieutenant, probably just swinging for the base here. And that's right, 6 damage to base.
So on the 4 resource turn, Boba only had the no good to be dead, so just didn't develop the board
Yeah,
and
not
you know
optimal.
didn't curve out exactly how he wanted to. And now he's got a space unit, which doesn't really answer these ground units.
Yeah,
On another one.
Whoa, and the Battlefield Marine that was waylaid earlier comes back to the field, I presume. So now Brandon is Brandon may have faced some disruption, but he has quite the board on the ground.
Gonna have to take
Let's see
out
what Sassy
K.
can do.
Have to take out K2 here,
Yeah, I think so.
or a
No,
three. I
goes.
can see a three and a three instead of yeah, a three and a three, and
Yeah, that's fair.
keeps Boba alive instead of the four and then the three.
Yeah, next turn he can swing Boba into the Marine maybe, or
Mm-hmm.
if the opponent attacks with the Marine immediately, you can take out K2 or yeah, there's some
Yeah.
options.
I like killing the Marine, and then next, it's just you're gonna take the extra four from the K2, but yeah, you just need to get control of this board.
Now the Space Arena is looking pretty good for Sassy here, but the question is, can he prevent himself from being overrun on the ground by Sabine, who's about to no longer be exhausted from that No Good to Me Dead, plus K2, plus that Marine? And K2 could trade with Boba here and deal 3 damage to base if that were Brandon's inclination.
I
We could
I,
also
I kind of like
potentially
that play.
see.
I like that play actually. I think that um, prevents the.
Oh,
Okay.
it's Wrecker. Wrecker not able to use ECL because of that wing leader play from earlier, but still burns a resource to deal 5 damage to Boba and clear him without spending any unit.
What a card.
Wrecker is also extremely good.
How did they
Wrecker
print?
is like,
I'm like, how did they
yeah,
print some of this stuff, dude? Like Poe and Wrecker, how'd they print those?
it's kind of interesting too, because some of the most powerful cards in one of the things that people have noticed about set two is that its legendary cards aren't as good as those in set one. But set two has some really wild rares. Wrecker is a rare, Triple Dark Raid is a rare. There's some big stuff there.
Yeah,
Vet's Fire Spray.
Sabine was good in set one, and then they got Poe and Wrecker just went
It
over the
looks like
top.
it looks like we're turning into a ground versus space race here. Fet's Fire Spray punishing one and the 7th Fleet Defender swinging away in space, while on the ground we have Wrecker K2, a Battlefield Marine, and Sabine unit.
I'm trying to slide this down a little so we
Looks
can.
like 11 damage on Brandon's base, and I believe it's 16 on Sassy's base. So both players have only 14 HP remaining because Brandon's playing 25 HP base and Sassy at 30 HP. And there's 12 damage on the board in space for Sassy, and I think I think Brandon has lethal on the board here with Wrecker. Rebel Assault.
Oof.
That's going to be 5 damage from K2 plus another 4 from that Marine, 9 damage. And yeah, we are looking at lethal here. In fact, unless Wrecker can be stopped, Brandon wins next action. Swoop down. Fet's Fire Spray swoops down and clears Wrecker, takes some damage in the process, but I believe stays alive thanks to the damage reduction on that card. Wing Leader buffs Sabine. Now Sabine can swing for lethal.
It's just getting out of control.
Is there another swoop down or a No Good to Me Dead or some other counter? Or is this going to be going to game 3? Doesn't look like Sassy has a response. I think that's a win for Brandon, and we're going to go to game 3 of this match.
All right, let's go to get set up here and head on
In
over.
game 1 of this match, Brandon missed his turn 1 play and was outraced by Sassy. But in game 2, he hit his turn 1 play, was able to go first. And even though that early ECL wing leader play ended up getting countered a bit by the Waylay, Brandon was still ultimately able to win the race.
All right, so we're in game 3. We got Kylo's tie into an X-wing.
Yep.
And the ping.
And this,
Since
ping is being used this time. That's interesting. I think that means Brandon's confident that he can outrace. I wonder if that means he has an exceptionally strong hand. It's also possible that he was just thinking, I'm going to ping if I don't lose initiative, which is something that people also do sometimes. Which is to say, if your opponent already takes the initiative, you may as well ping in situations where you think that it's somewhat favorable or ambiguous. But in those situations, you also often don't ping if it would mean losing the initiative.
I like Sassy's resource decisions here. I'm seeing a fire spray kept in hand, and oftentimes in the early stages of these matches, the fire spray gets resource because we want to have enough
David is the
card.
closer.
We want to have enough cards to like be able to curve out properly.
Ooh,
But
that is a
that
bad beat here for Brandon. So Kylo's tie swings for 3. Brandon trades an X-Wing for the tie, but then we see red 3 into punishing 1, not where you want to be as Brandon.
definitely a advantageous position there for Sassy. And again, if he can manage to hold on to that fire spray, it's really going to do a lot of work there in this race situation.
I do think Yellow Sabine is better poised against some of these space-focused decks because you have options like the Millennium Falcon, potentially Auxotech Liberator gunship, the 1-cost 2/3 built-in bounty ship. I believe that's Cartel Turncoat. And I think some of those line up pretty well against enemy space threats, though you don't get Bright Hope, and Bright Hope can be a big deal.
Yeah, I think Bright Hope is a big one.
This time Sassy goes for the kill instead of racing, which I think is a good idea. Punishing 1 takes out red 3, and once again Sabine deploys only to immediately be hit by No Good to Me Dead. I think that's happened 3 games in a row now. Brandon plays a that's gonna be a Fighters for Freedom. Looks like he doesn't have something to do with his last resource. And it's a Rokai gunship here from Sassy. 2/1 when defeated, deal 1 damage to a unit or base. What do you think of the Rokai gunship, Palm?
Uh, I don't like it. That's not a good card. I wouldn't put that in my deck. But
So,
I'm
sometimes
also I'm
sometimes
also
it can
not at
work.
table 1 at round 7
Yeah.
table 1. I was down there at table 3 or 4 by this point. So
What was your record at this point? Were you
I
5-1
was
going into
I ended up 5-2, but I had really good tiebreakers, because I ended up,
Yeah, yeah. I meant like at
yeah,
this round, were you 5-1?
I was 4-2, yeah, and then
And you ended up winning
I
and
went
going
2-0. I
5-2
went
overall.
2-0 against the Sabine uh, uh, Jackson L, who we saw earlier
Okay.
on
Well,
stream.
congrats.
Yeah,
Was that Tarkentown paying off?
yep, just clean.
Nice.
Just there was just it's a pretty decent matchup. Um, but yeah, I did lose to a Sabine, um, but that particular player knew what they were doing. It was like a lot of they actually pinged in round 1. They ping and then I pass so that I can daring raid and then Tarkin Town. But then they did a double
Took
pass,
initiative.
and
Yeah.
that's the correct line. All right, back to
Interesting.
action here.
Looked like ECL being used with Bright Hope to come in and clear the wounded punishing 1. Not too common to see Bright Hope played with ECL, but I guess it happens sometimes. And Fighters for Freedom earlier swung for 3 damage to Boba's base here. But Boba Fett takes the field and clears the Fighters for Freedom.
Yeah, it was
There's
Brandon S who really knew what they were doing around the in the matchup. I think
nice.
that's what it comes down to with Sabine is just knowing what the Boba Tarkin Town is trying to do and then be able to counter it.
If you get caught by surprise by that, it's a hefty hit. 7th Fleet Defender on the field. So the 7th Fleet Defender should be able to break through Bright Hope here. Unless we see something like a Wing Leader buffing Bright Hope to take it into a safer position. Although even then, it could still be removed by a Waylay. Waylay is very good against some of these mid-cost or more expensive Sentinel units.
There's just a lot of utility for it. I just think it's a bit like I said. I've been running Jabba, snuck Jabba in there just
Ooh,
to go find
surprise
waylays.
strike from Boba. Boba fires off his surprise strike to kill Sabine unit, and it looked like Brandon's first action was actually to swing for base with. Do you swing for base with Bright Hope? I think that's the case.
Yep.
And then Wrecker comes out to clear Boba.
It's just wreck shop. That's what Wrecker comes down to do.
Seventh
Kills.
Fleet Defender
Do
defeats the Bright Hope, just loses the shield, 2 damage from base on the Rokai gunship, and there's the Fett's fire spray. This is looking good for Sassy, if you ask me.
it's that fire spray that Sassy was just I'm assuming just held on to just through thick and thin
Yeah, and
just to make
this is
sure.
a similar dynamic to what we saw in game two with a ground versus space race. But the difference is this time Brandon only has Wrecker and not those other units on the ground. And the base HP totals are also more favorable for Sassy. Wrecker can swing for 7 here, and that's a huge amount of damage, but 7 damage here isn't winning the game. Sassy's going faster than that. Another Bright Hope hits the field for Brendan, though. He's got to be happy about that. Rokai gunship just crashes into Bright Hope. And I think he's going to put the 1 damage from the when defeated effect on Bright Hope. And then the defender crashes into Bright Hope also.
It's just snowballing so well into the Boba advantage. I mean, we're at base damage. Board is pretty equal, but the base is just we only have 7 left on there,
Oh, and there's a triple Dark Raid.
and there's
I
really
think this is going to
not
be.
much. There's not much in a Sabine deck to answer a fire spray either. I mean, there's not a
So
whole
Bright
lot.
Hope helps, but he's already seen 2 Bright Hopes, and Sassy has been able to push through them.
He wants a ruthless raider here. I think he doesn't want to have to replace that fire spray, and he wants to hit for 6. Okay.
It's going to be a Kylo's TIE Silencer. Not the best option, but it's still 3 more damage.
Have anything else for 3? Oh, lurking tie.
Oh, and there's a Phantom.
I mean,
Brandon.
we're done here. We're
I
done.
think the only thing Brandon could have that would maybe buy him another turn would be another Bright Hope. But even then, he's not actually winning the game. He's just buying time.
Yeah, I think we got there. I think that's it. I think Sassy's, the 30 health base didn't come into play, but there was definitely some optimal play there. I would say just some good
I think
decision making.
um I think Brandon having red 3 into that punishing one was a real setback.
That was definitely a favorable interaction there for
Oh,
Sassy.
timely intervention. But what card is intervening?
Okay,
And he
that
has the Bright Hope.
to kill that lurking tie, stay alive to protect
Yeah, he
against fire spray.
kills the lurking tie, and he'll absorb the hit from the fire spray. But that still doesn't win the game. All
Yeah.
no good to me yet on record. So I actually think that's a misplay. I could be wrong, but my understanding of this situation is that if Sassy just swings with fire spray immediately, Brandon actually can't swing with Wrecker, or else he loses the game to taking initiative. So I think you just swing and then take initiative if he does anything. I don't think you need to play the no good to me dead. But what answer could Brandon possibly find? I don't think he has one, because I think he's already been through all 3 of his Bright Hopes. So that's going to be it.
All right. And that brings us to the end of the Swiss, and we're going to be putting out the top cut as soon as we can get around to recording or doing commentary on those. But we appreciate you guys tuning in, and once again, shout out to Gamescape for hosting, allowing us to provide this content for you all, and thank you, Tower, for commentating with me.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, Poem, and yeah, thanks to y'all for watching.
All right, see y'all next time.